What's going on, backpackers and campers? My name is Dave and this channel is called Off Grid, and on this channel I like to talk about all things backpacking, hiking, camping, and gear. And today we are going to take a look at the infamous Gerber Dime. Now this is a backpacker's multi-tool that a lot of other backpackers that I've heard have been touting for quite some time. And I'm gonna be honest with you guys, I ended up getting this in and I'm going to end up returning it. So stay tuned to find out all the reasons, or not only why I ended up purchasing, the reasons why I ended up deciding to purchase it in the first place, but also the pros, the cons, the price point, all that good stuff, tech specs. And then I'm also going to be comparing it to the Swiss Army Micro SD, which is the other most popular multi-tool or Swiss Army knife that is currently being used. All right, so let's just dive right in to the reason why I decided to get the Dime to begin with. Well, the first reason is because I heard a lot of other backpackers talking about it. It seems to be the second most popular one, right behind the Swiss Army Micro SD, for a backpacker's tool, not necessarily for a car camping kit, but for a backpacking kit, because they are extremely lightweight and because they can do a lot of different things, a lot of different functions involved with this tool. And then I also tried to get it as a holiday gift for my dad, so I kind of wanted to just open it up and see what it was all about before I decided to gift it over to him. So let's get into the pros and cons now for the Gerber Dime. But first up, let's get into the price point and the tech specs on this multi-tool. It is about $25. I found it on Amazon. That's the price point that I got it for, and it weighs about 2 ounces. Now if you're going to compare that to the micro SD, it is about 0.75 ounces and it costs about $17 to $18 on Amazon. So I figured I could also make this into a versus video between the two different knives. But let's get into the pros now for the Gerber Dime. And the first pro that I have for you guys is all the different things that it can do that the Swiss Army Micro SD can't do. So there's a few extra functions on the Dime that the SD can't do. The first of which is a set of pliers. Now the pliers are really interesting because it's also dual purpose. You can use them as a wire cutter or a rope cutter if you need to cut down some lines, some guy lines, a bear bag hanging kit, or maybe it got stuck around a tree, or something like your hammock, you need to make some adjustments or cut some line for that. It's great for that. And then it also has the inclusion of the bottle opener, which the micro SD does not have. But I think that's pretty much it for the pros of the Dime. It's really just the addition of a couple of other tools that the SD doesn't have. Now let's get into the cons of the Gerber Dime now. And one of the big ones for me, and I know it's not really a big one for other people, but it is for me, and it is that the Dime does not include a toothpick, which I've heard with a lot of other Swiss Army knife users that the toothpick is like the least used item in their knife kit. But I actually use it, so I actually enjoy it and kind of miss it when it's not there. So that's one thing that it doesn't have that the SD does have. The other con here is going to be the weight. So again, like I had mentioned, it's 2 ounces versus 0.75 for the SD, and you can definitely feel the difference in your hand. When you have both of them kind of like resting in your hand, it definitely feels heavier having that Dime multi-tool compared to the Swiss Army knife. And then the third one of the biggest reasons why I'm going to end up returning this item is because the precision is just not there. When you compare the ease of use, like opening up the different tools and things like that, it's just not as smooth as the Swiss Army name. Now I will say that when I first started to use the multi-tool, I ended up chipping about like 3 different nails trying to get those different tools open. Since that point I've worked it quite a bit, and I don't think I'm having as much difficulty getting the tools in and out. But when you're comparing that to the micro SD, when I first got that thing, it's like butter. The thing is super smooth, the tools come out super easily, and it's just overall a more enjoyable experience when you have a tool that just works well right out of the gate like that. So that's the big con. It's a big reason why I'm going to end up returning the Gerber Dime. Let's get over into the pros and cons of the Swiss Army Micro SD now. And one of the biggest pros, I would say, is probably how small it is compared to the Gerber Dime. It is quite significantly smaller. I'll throw the tech specs up on screen for both of these tools here right now, but in addition to it being a lot less in weight, a little bit under half of the weight of the Gerber Dime, it is just nice to be able to have such a smaller profile. I'll show you right here. I've got it in my chum's wallet right here, and I just have it like attached to a key ring right here to my wallet, and I've made this part of my everyday carry. I'm actually going to be switching this out for the new year here in 2022, but I really enjoy that I'm able to just kind of like attach it to this wallet and just throw it in the sleeve right here, and you just kind of forget that it's there. So I really like that about the Swiss Army knife. And like I said, I already mentioned the lighter weight and the fact that I do actually use the toothpick, so that's also a pro for me for the SD. But the last pro that I have for the micro SD here is the fact that even though it's more simplistic in its design and doesn't have as many tools, I still find that with the tools that it does have, it gets me through the majority of the different tasks that I need to like perform throughout the day. I will say that I have graduated from this more simplistic design from an everyday carry perspective, and I've kind of upgraded to a more beefy model, but for the very simple fact that the precision is really there and that it is super smooth to use, I'm kind of hooked on the Swiss Army name, even though they are definitely more pricey than some of the other options that are out there. All right, now let's get into the cons. And one of the pros that I had just mentioned, with it being so slim and kind of hardly noticing it's there, can also be a con in that, especially if you don't have it attached to a key ring like I do with my wallet, if you just have it in your pocket or just kind of like loose, it's very easy to lose it, right? And that's a $17–18 option that you can easily just, not know that it's there, have a bunch of other stuff in your pocket, go to take it out, and just easily lose it. So the pro is also the con in this one. So another reason why I'm kind of looking forward to a little bit more beefier of a model is the fact that it's there, right? And it has a decent amount of weight to let you know that it's in your pocket. So that's definitely a con for the SD. And the only other con that I have for the Swiss Army knife is the fact that it doesn't have that many tools, right? The fact that it only has like, I think 4 or 5 main functions, and that's pretty much it. It definitely got me to thinking that I need to upgrade to something else, because I did have a need to have other tools in my arsenal, especially from an everyday carry perspective. But I still think for backpacking, the SD will perform the majority of the functions that you're going to need out in the field. Now let's get over into just one item that I have in kind of like a wash category where they're both kind of the same. It's the fact that the tweezers on both of them are kind of useless. They're not that great unless you have something that is very lightly stuck underneath the skin from a splinter perspective. Maybe it works okay on ticks. I haven't had a need for that yet, but for anything that is really stuck in there, they're kind of flimsy. They're not very durable. They're not very like rigid, so they're not going to do that great of a job. So in conclusion, why am I going to end up ditching the Gerber Dime? Well, for me, it came down to 3 major things. It was the lack of precision ultimately, and then it was the lack of a toothpick, as well as the extra weight. It being a little bit over double the weight. Now 2 ounces doesn't really sound like a lot, but when you have them both in your hands, it actually does feel quite significantly more than the micro SD. So but ultimately it comes down to you guys and your own personal preference and the tools that you would like to use when you're out in the field. If you have a need to use some pliers when you're out backpacking, again, I'm speaking specifically towards my backpacking trips here, right? So if you have a need for pliers or for wire cutters to cut those lines, have something that is a little bit more secure in doing something like that. I don't really see a need where you would usually use the bottle opener when you're on backpacking trips, maybe car camping more so. And I already know down in the comments people are going to say, well, all you have to do is loosen up the joints on the Gerber Dime in order to make it run more smoothly. You shouldn't have to do that, guys. We shouldn't have to tinker with our toys to make them work. When you buy something, you expect it to work right out the gate, right? But let me know in the comments down below, do you guys own either one of these tools? Why do you like it? Why do you not like it? And let's get the discussion started. But again, that's going to do it for me this week, guys. If you like what you saw today, please give me the thumbs up. Subscribe down to the channel down below if you haven't already. Share the video out and click that bell notification so that you can be aware every single time I post a new video. And remember, if you're headed off grid, make sure you do your research and you make it a safe one. I'll see you guys on the next one.